We talked about a couple of the things that stood out from Dow Loggins yesterday. How are you? I guess I'll just say generally, how are you feeling about? Are you feeling differently about the hire today, having heard from him, having sat with it for 24 hours, than you were in the week leading up to it?
Not a whole lot different. I mean, I did think we, in some ways, learned a little bit about the philosophy. We talked about this some yesterday. We didn't really dive into it, but I think we know what the approach is going to be on offense. And my takeaway, re-listening to it, was that I don't think they want to reinvent the wheel. Like I don't think this is going to be, Beamer even said that they're not going to blow it up and start over. Situation where I think they want to take some of what they did last year, or this year, I should say. It is still this year, but kind of what they did the last couple of games where they tried to streamline things and then add in some concepts from what you saw at Arkansas. There was a lot of talk about space and pace, which makes me think we're going to see some of the same concepts, but it's going to be a little bit more college style and maybe how they teach it, how they install it, and how they get to it. What I mean by that is signaling it in, play calling. Dow Loggins even talked quite a bit about how college guys, in his opinion, seem to respond really well to signals versus having all the words. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And one of the quotes from actually both those guys said the same thing, but in different ways. They said you can run a quote unquote pro style offense without it being a 17-word play call. So, I would imagine we're going to see some of the same stuff, maybe a little bit more streamlined and maybe a little bit more spread. And I mean that not in the general, people will say, oh, it's a spread offense. I don't even know what that means anymore. But a lot of times, the last 2 years, we saw a lot of compressed formations, and it was a heavy, what you would say would be like that LSU, Joe Brady style offense. And you look at Arkansas, you look at the Briles coaching tree, and everything is more like our boy Heupel at Tennessee. It's like spread to the max. And so when I say spread, I think quite literally it means trying to do things to create space.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between the hash marks. So the old football adage is you bring them in to spread them out. You spread them out to bring them in. If they go out, they're going in. If they go out in, they're going out. And so what they tried to do in the NFL is you saw a lot of those bunch formations start happening. Parcells was kind of an innovator with that, with those old Jets teams, and Joe Brady's obviously carried that a lot years later. But if I bring you in and the hashes are only here, now you actually have more of the field to defend because now we can start from this small place and go outwards towards the sidelines. But those same formations don't necessarily work in college because you're already bunched up against the sideline with the hash. So now you don't have all of the space that you thought you had. And then to add on to that, most of the field is not usable because you don't have a quarterback who can make a throw to the other side of the field like that. So I say all that to say that, yeah, those concepts sometimes don't necessarily apply. And one of the things that was really insightful to me was that Dow acknowledged that very big difference between the college and the pro game,
which I had previously spent literally 0 seconds of my life thinking about or even acknowledging. Well, let me say like 5 seconds, because I probably acknowledged it on like a field goal attempt or something. I'm like, huh, there's a big difference there. But other than that, it's not something you would think about. So, Chris, let me ask you this. Why would anybody ever at any level have a 17-word play call if you could get it called in 3?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm sure y'all have seen on YouTube, but what was the clip? It used to get passed around a ton. I think it was John Gruden trying to give Chris Sims this play call, and it was probably 17 words.
And Chris Sims couldn't get it?
He just couldn't get it. I mean, he was a rookie. It's his first time. I've seen clips of, Drew Brees going over some of, like, Sean Payton's play calls, right? So Sean Payton's a really good offensive mind, but at the NFL, when you have, another thing that Dow Loggins talked about is basically having like unlimited time. Like, this is your full-time job. You don't have, a 20-hour rule and all these different things that have already, there's notions
you don't have
to
hang out with the boys.
Yeah. So, there's so many different, you see a lot of times, NFL teams will call 2 different plays, and then you have the kill, call. If you're going to take a look at the defense, you're going to kill one. Now you've got to remember your first play call and all these different concepts and everything that's going on. So it can be pretty difficult. It's a good question as to why. And I think one of the things that we have seen, Wes and I were talking about this yesterday, when you look at what switch flipped at the end of the year last year for South Carolina, or this past season, for the Tennessee game, for the Clemson game, it was not us watching the game saying, my gosh, what is this? I've never seen this concept before. This is completely new, reinventing the wheel, throwing out the old playbook. No, it wasn't that. A lot of the things we saw were very different. But what we did see was a streamlining of how much you're carrying into the game and thus how much you're repping every week in practice. A little ode to Mike Leach here, late Mike Leach. Their offense was pretty simple overall. They just rep the heck out of everything to where they were just really, really, really good at it. And so they were able to play faster. They were able to simplify things. I think we didn't see, there were certainly wordy play calls in USC's last offense. And I think they went away from that some, and we saw more production at the end of the year. So Dowell Loggins kind of acknowledging, like, you can run some similar concepts and just kind of basically, to paraphrase, make it easier for your guys to digest and be able to go out and play fast.
And I think in some cases, this is probably one of those things where multiple things can be true at once. Like in some cases, you maybe see coaches that are making it more complicated just for the sake of it being more complicated, and it's kind of overkill. Other times, I'm sure in its infancy at least, those play calls were designed. You're facing NFL defenses that probably have tweaks on top of tweaks to what they're running. They're not just going out there and running a simple cover 3 or a simple quarters coverage. Like, they have little tweaks they're doing. So there's probably some information in every single word of that, in our example, our 17-word call. Part of that call is for giving information to the X receiver. Part of that call is giving information to the tight end. Part of that call is giving information to the running back. But at the college level, you probably need to just dial it back a little bit and say, okay, how simple can we make this? How much can we take the same concept but make it more easily digestible? Because maybe we don't need the ability to tweak the specific receiver within the play call. There's sight checks. You could have a completely different play call and look out there and say, wow, that receiver is playing off, or that corner is playing off coverage. Let me just flip the ball out there to this wide receiver. You can get to that with a simple hand signal versus having it.
I'll say sometimes it doesn't even have to be a call. I was watching a Bills game a couple weeks ago, and it was that exact scenario. Josh Allen looks over. Stephon Diggs has a guy giving him about an 8-yard cushion. They call the play. The offensive line is like run blocking to the right. The running back's trying to go get a handoff. No one knows what's going on except for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and it was 8 yards.
Yeah, and a lot of teams will just build that in now. It seems like it's a built-in RPO is basically what it is. But it used to be that the play call back in the day was literally every single word was giving information to a different player, and you realize that's just not a very efficient way to do it. Especially, let's go back to what he talked about, space and pace. You can't have pace if you have to read a dictionary for every call. So, I took away a lot from it. One of Preston's points he just made, how many college quarterbacks can make that full from one hash to the other side of the field throw? But one thing we heard Loggins say several times, I want to build it around the quarterback. If you have 7,
he can do it.
You're probably saying, I have the entire field at my disposal.
Absolutely.
If you have maybe a quarterback who doesn't quite have the arm strength to make that throw, you're saying, I got to chop that off my playbook.
Yeah, and I would also like to say that there's a majority of the really good quarterbacks. Like, I'm not sure that Max Duggan can make that particular throw. So there's not a lot of guys who can do it.
Right.
That's just field design. But yeah, I will come back on the other side and bring that idea of what simplifying language.
Let's talk about it. Simplifying the offense. Dowell Loggins wants to do it. Carolina fans want to see it.
The early game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
You look at the way they recruit, and you can kind of make your mark. Hello?
No, I was listening. I was listening to Red's take on the whole situation.
Exactly.
That was a very spirit. Either Red completely disagreed with you or was behind you cheering. That's my dad. That's a great point, Dad. You keep making that point.
He's gotten bad, man. He's like, he follows me outside. and then he wants a treat, and he barks until I give him a treat, and half the time he keeps barking. So I don't know.
Sounds like
Not
working
bad.
with Bill first thing every morning.
It is kind of. I really bother Jen until I get a treat each and every morning. So
He begs a lot.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Micah Parsons' criticism of Jalen Hurts is silly. Yeah, the Eagles have had a great supporting cast this year, but we can't grade down Hurts for being great. He's not a Hall of Famer like Peyton Manning, but no one ever said, oh, well, Peyton has had Edgerrin and Marvin and Reggie. He was great, yes, with great weapons. And that's all that's needed right now from Jalen Hurts. This is Damon Amendolara.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take one pill each morning and zero heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. That's why MVP's Pro Rewards members can earn bonus points on select products and brands like Power Pro, Weehaw, and Valspar. Then redeem your bonus points for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, Lowe's e-gift cards, and more. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit lowes.com/L/pro loyalty terms for details. Now through 1/8/23.
People who suffer from arthritis are getting real pain relief with exciting biologic therapies at QC Kinetics.
The success rate is there, and there's no better way to treat yourself when it comes to dealing with pain.
Meet Tyler Vale, co-founder of QC Kinetics, who says they can't cure arthritis, but they can treat the pain.
If you think of the tide coming in and out on the beach and what it does, it erodes the sand, right? Can't stop the tide, but eventually when the sand or the beach gets bad enough, when we backfill that beach with sand so that we get generations of enjoyment with that beach again. And the same thing happens with your knee or your shoulder or your hip or your back. We want to backfill the problems that have happened to this point. I'm not stopping the tide, so I'm not stopping the arthritis, but I want to get generations of enjoyment out of those joints again.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Learn more about how restorative biologic therapies can get you real and lasting joint pain relief.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
A sinking foundation can cause you to make quick decisions that could be wrong. Travis Bedson, owner of C&T Foundations.
Many of our clients come to us after a bad experience with another company. From high-pressure sales techniques to misinformation, we've heard it all. If you're facing foundation problems, take a breath and take time to get a second opinion. We offer free estimates and reliable advice.
Call 803-805-8044. C&T Foundations, your foundation experts.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
$23 after 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning. Well, it's a wet Thursday. It's not raining anymore, I don't think, at least not here in downtown Columbia. But yeah, Preston, Chris, Pearson, Wes, somewhere. Eventually got a lot on the plate today. Of course, lots from Dow Loggins yesterday, lots from Shane Beamer yesterday. We left things off in the first segment talking about the simplification of offenses, which has been a huge buzzword and a huge, I think, source of frustration for Carolina fans in a lot of the last couple seasons. Not only did Dow Loggins say the right things, which you would expect someone to do at a press conference, but he seemed to understand. He's like, I get it. I was in college. I had to worry about a girlfriend. I had to worry about hanging out with the boys. I had to worry about class. He seems to actually get it, but it has prompted me to ask, what's the point of having an overcomplicated offense in general? You had something you wanted to add on that.
Yeah, let's just say, let's hypothetically say that, I don't know, I was going to a sandwich shop, maybe. Let's just say it's going to a sandwich shop
with hot sandwiches.
Maybe going to a store with plenty of food, right? And you're the person at the behind the counter, and I walk up and I say, "Yes, sir, I would like to have some bread, 4 slices with some lettuce, shredded, romaine, tomato sliced long ways, bacon. Put those on top of each other, stack them, cut it in 4s, and toast the bread, all 4 slices." What would you say?
I would say, no, get out of here. Can you order something on the menu, please?
You would say, "Oh, you want a club?"
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Number 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all we're talking about. When you hear these long offensive calls, that's all they're saying.
I see. Yeah.
They're just laying out the whole idea. When you can just say club sandwich, and everybody knows what is a club sandwich, what's on a club sandwich, how to make a club sandwich, and it's very, very simple. But if you say, give me bread, bacon, romaine lettuce, shredded, whole, egg yolk, whipped, salt, pepper, cut in 4s, toothpick on top, you'd be like, the more directions you give, the more chance that somebody's going to what? They're going to get it wrong.
Yes.
And that's when you think about these complicated ideas of how you call plays. Just dumb it down. I don't need to know every single thing. Just tell me what's on a club sandwich.
Just give me the turkey bacon ranch.
Give me the turkey bacon ranch.
That's the sub of the day.
Is that the sub of the day today?
On Tuesday.
You're on.
On Tuesdays.
Okay. What's today? Thursday? Let's try this. What's the sub of the day today on Thursday?
Who knows? Does anybody know? Do you remember what yesterday was, first of all?
Yesterday was the New York Steamer.
Absolutely right.
Today is...
Any guesses?
Is it jerk chicken?
No, that is close.
That's tomorrow.
That is close. You mix 2 sandwiches, which is a good idea.
Yeah.
You can do that if you want at Firehouse Subs today. I've had this one, spicy Cajun chicken. Now, tomorrow is a preview, Pearson, since you mentioned it, Jamaican jerk turkey.
Yeah.
I have not had that. I am probably going to have to go. If you would like to get the sub of the day, any day, if you want to try today the spicy Cajun chicken, it is Thursday. Visit one of the 14 Midlands locations of Firehouse Subs. The sub of the day is a sub that is either $5.99 for a small or $7.99 for a medium. I recommend the medium at least. So $7.99 for a medium. Sub of the day is the spicy Cajun chicken. It's got spicy chicken. It's got some jalapenos on there. It is delicious. Or if you're in the mood for something else, try the new prime rib steak sub. You can order at the store, of course, one of 14 locations. Order through the Firehouse Subs text line here on the station, 803-404-6100. If you have an opinion about simplifying the offense or want to tell us your favorite sub, you will get a link back to order directly from Firehouse. You can use the Firehouse Subs app or the Rapid Rescue at firehousesubs.com. And we're going to be out there tomorrow.
We are.
The Orangeburg location, grand opening of the Orangeburg Firehouse Subs. And tomorrow's sub of the day is Jamaican jerk turkey, and I'm 100% going to try it.
I was say we definitely got to get a sampling of that. So today, Marcus Satterfield walks into a Firehouse Sub and says, I would like bread, Cajun turkey, cheese, shreddis, onions.
Shreddis?
Yeah, that's shredded
I love
lettuce.
that. Yeah.
Captain
No,
Ahab sauce.
you can't say shreddis though, because that simplifies it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I would like shredded, like you said, romaine lettuce. And Dow's like, give me the sub of the day.
Exactly. But Marcus might even go like spicy. Okay, paprika, cayenne, a dash of cayenne, a little bit of salt, mix them in together, grind it, don't pulse it. He like, all right, man.
Lightly toasted.
Exactly.
And-
just call it spicy, sir.
And South Carolina did have, like, they had kind of a mixture in the past under Satterfield with what they would do. And that can include how they got the plays in and communicated, or play calls. So a lot of times they did have these wordy play calls. They did have some that were one-word play calls. So South Georgia, and that's everything. That's your personnel and your play. But at times, in my opinion, from what I observed, I think they could sometimes get themselves in trouble and stall out a little bit if you're getting yourself in a certain situation and now you want a particular play, but it happens to be one of your more like wordy plays or something like that.
It just seems weird that you would have the simple ones. Like, why have the complicated ones if you have the simple ones?
If you can have the simple ones.
Yeah.
I hate to reduce it down to NCAA, but it's really the same things. You know how we used to call a play, but you can option one route, you can change a route. You can do that as an offensive play caller. Say if you're, let's just say South Georgia, whatever that is. Say South Georgia X dig.
Right
And
stick.
now
Right stick.
everybody else is running South Georgia except you, the X. You know who you are. You're running a dig, and that's very simple. So yeah, to your point, why would you be complicated if you can be simpler? And that's probably in, I don't know, majority of things.
I can't think of a time. Maybe if you're like encrypting somebody's data, it's better to be complicated than simple. And in football and sandwich making and pretty much everything else, it just makes sense to be simple. What do you have an example of now that it's a different offense and now that can you think of a play call that you heard or even you, Preston? Obviously you're on the other side of the ball, but like, did your OC at Blythewood have really long wordy plays? I just want to know what these sound like.
Well, I mean, I think we're past the Ryan Brewers was on Tuesday, but I remember Skip Holt's offense was all the baseball teams are runs. So it'd be like Braves, Rangers, whatever, those would be runs. And then there would be like an indicator in the word that make it a run left or a run right. All the passing plays would be NFL teams. And all of the
Giants is confusing all of a sudden.
all of the screenplays would be cities or something. It would be something like very, 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 very simplified way of calling these plays. That way you can call it quick. And again, as I made the point yesterday, you're dealing with college kids who don't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot of bandwidth for football. And everybody's not on savant level of understanding football. When you get to the NFL, those dudes understand concepts of football. And for what Gene said and what Shane said also, and Dow probably will point to, is that, if you're just immersed in ball for 8 hours a day, you'll understand concepts that just for lack of time you won't be able to get. When I talk to some of my friends who continued on in the coaching profession, there's a level of knowledge that I sort of reach a ceiling where they can keep going because they've just been immersed in ball for hours and hours.
We should ask Nashawn what the longest play call he's ever heard is.
That's a good one.
Because he's probably heard a lot of different ones.
That's a great one.
And I don't know, you asked about a play. I don't know like one of the wordier ones, like how long that is or even what it is. I do know there were some wordy ones, like just as a general principle, there were some wordy ones. There were some that was one or two words, and that's your formation, your personnel package, and your play all packaged into one. And then there are some that are like would be considered reasonable. Like since this came out publicly, like y'all remember the clip at the end of the Clemson game that got passed around social media, and Eric Douglas is kind of calling out. He says,
like, just give it to Juice.
He says prison jail with Juice, and so that is one of the concepts. My understanding is prison is right, jail is left because it's got an L and an R.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Right. And so you have a play. So it'd be, one of the play calls that would indicate that play is like 5 words, and it's not too much, right? So there's kind of a mixture of all those things previously.
Yeah.
And it might be getting into formations and all those different types of ways, but
right, maybe alignments.
Yeah, but I just, like I said, from what I remember when I was trying to cheat and steal the plays from the offense so that I can look good, they would have like king or they would have queen or something. It'd be very, very simple formations because, again, there's just not a lot of time. And also, as a coach, you don't want to be trying to read this sentence on your play sheet that you have. Everybody is.
Yeah.
I know we all think that we can do this and whatever, but 30 seconds goes by very quickly when you're trying to figure out what the call is.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to process what just happened, what your options are for the next play. Then you got to decide on the next play. Then you got to call it in. Then they got to call it in.
It's not easy.
No. But I like one of the best conversations we've had on this show since we've been doing it together, Preston, and I come back to it a lot, was our conversation with G.A. Mangus, just describing, how he would have a note card in his back pocket. Doesn't matter what the play call is, he knows what he wants to run, and to have that sort of just feel. And then if you need to reference it, it's like, oh yeah, what is this called? This is that. But you're not. It's like, how often do you? We'll continue the food analogy. How often do you go into a restaurant not really knowing what you want, and looking at the menu actually makes your decision easier? Exactly. You get completely overwhelmed. You're like, no, I'm going in. I probably want chicken. Maybe I want the steak, and then you decide from there. But you kind of got to go in knowing what you want, or you're going to have a bad time. 803-404-6100. A few more thoughts on this, because this is just a very interesting idea, I think. So we'll come back around to it. There have also been a couple of pieces of news, a couple of decommits for South Carolina. One particularly insidious picture that is making its way around the internet right now from a Maryland basketball game last night, and another entry to the transfer portal from South Carolina. So a few news notes to hit next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Mid-Carolina Marine and Yamaha Outboards want to make this a Christmas to remember. Right now, Mid-Carolina Marine is offering up to $3,000 off the purchase of a new boat and motor package. If you can't find the boat of your dreams in stock, Mid-Carolina Marine will apply your discount to any package that you order. Make this the ultimate Christmas for the whole family. It's up to $3,000 off already low sale prices. December only. Mid-Carolina Marine and Yamaha Outboards in West Columbia, or visit midcarolinamarine.com.
Hey, I'm Carl Blackstone, President and CEO of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. We hope you're enjoying this holiday season. As you continue to make plans to celebrate with family and friends, we want to encourage you to take the time to explore the local businesses in our community and all they have to offer. Our region flourishes when we commit to partnering with our neighbors to build a stronger economy. The Chamber sends our warmest thoughts and best wishes for a wonderful holiday and a very happy new year. And please remember, shop local.
An ode to the mountains, oceans, rivers, and adventurers of the Southeast, Peak Drift Brewing Company has launched its award-winning craft beers and hard seltzers to bars, stores, and restaurants across the Midlands. Try our Golden Ale, New England IPA, Red IPA, Berry Crumble Sour, or Fire Pit Ale, all crafted using cutting-edge technology that promotes sustainability and industry collaboration. Find your Peak Drift moment at peakdriftbrewing.com.
There's just something different about Medicine Mart of West Columbia. Just ask Danny Hood.
Well, the reason I like using Medicine Mart Pharmacy is because they know me when I walk in the door. I just love that personal touch. They really care. They're never too busy to hear your concerns or to answer your questions. And, that's so rare in today's move them on through way of doing business. I'd really encourage anybody to give them a try and experience that difference.
Medicine Mart Pharmacy at 1300 Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. They look forward to serving you.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right, we'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
803-630-5929 for more details.
Have some family or friends in town for the holidays? Show them a good time, great scratch food, and even better scenic views at Twin Peaks. With plenty of shareable things on the menu, this is your place for holiday gatherings. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts, only at Twin Peaks.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10 to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Incorporated.
For more than 15 years, Integrated Media has been Columbia's leader in home theater technology, and now they invite you into their new Experience Center to see for yourself the kinds of TVs, sound systems, security systems, and more that they can install in your home or on your patio or pool deck. TVs from Sony and Samsung that feature the latest in 4K quality, amazing surround sound from mounted speakers, or the flexibility of a Sonos system, amplifiers that utilize the latest from Dolby to bring everything together, and it's all controlled from an easy-to-use app on your phone. Call 803-948-8327 to set up a time for the Integrated Media crew to come to your home or to make an appointment to visit the Experience Center and truly take in what today's technology could be like in your home. Are you building or remodeling? Integrated Media works with contractors for a seamless installation, and they're always available to answer questions and concerns. Indoors, outdoors, one room, or the whole house, plus Wi-Fi that works everywhere. Call 803-948-8327. See them on Facebook and Instagram and get the best in home theater from Integrated Media.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000 square foot facility is complete with a massive two-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Farrow and Killian Road, where Price sells cars.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Minutes after 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you. A lot to get to. It's been an incredibly busy offseason. It's been a pretty fun offseason. This isn't certainly one of my favorite stories, but just one of my favorite types of story surfaced last night on social media. I'll explain for those of you that missed it in just a minute. But first, Wes, as he loves to do on the show, just loves to talk about Kendall Walsh.
Yeah, Kendall is my realtor. She can be yours as well. You can shoot her a text, give her a call. She helped me buy a home. She can do the exact same for you. I know that the housing market out there can be a little bit tough of a market to sort of navigate at this point, but Kendall can help you with that and make it very, very simple. 803-414-3590. workwithwalsh@gmail.com, at workwithwalsh on Twitter, at workwithwalsh on Instagram. It was fantastic. She streamlined. We talked about streamlining offenses. She streamlined the entire process for us, and she can do the same for you. So shout out to Kendall of the Moore Company here locally. Kendall's the best, and she's a huge Gamecock fan as well. So if you're a Gamecock fan who wants to support other Gamecock fans, give Kendall a call, 803-414-3590.
So tracking flight season is a really fun time of season.
Except
what?
Well, the new owner of Twitter, some dude named, what's his name? Elon?
Mollusk?
Yeah, that
Elon
dude.
Mollusk.
Apparently one of his flights got tracked, and so now it's a safety violation to track flights.
Oh, really?
So
that was a private jet, right?
good luck.
That was a private jet.
That was a private jet. Good luck.
I think you can still track.
Oh, you can still use the state's money. No problem. Just don't use your money.
That's good. Well, even if it's not a thing anymore, I at least appreciate that it was. It's just a fun way to kind of dig up nuggets. But now we're into, here's a random picture of people talking, and you can't even really see them. But let's surmise exactly who they are, exactly what they're talking about, and all of their nefarious purposes. And for those of you that are wondering what in the world I'm talking about, last night or earlier this week, I think it was last night, could have been 2 nights ago, at a Maryland basketball game, recent South Carolina decommit, Oluwatosin, aka Tree Babalade, and as yet uncommitted high school superstar Nicholas Harbor were both pictured with Kevin Plank, who is like the CEO or COO or I don't know, some
He's the
representative.
executive of the board of directors or something like that.
Executive of the board of directors of Under Armour. Now, I'm extremely impressed that anyone was able to identify Nicholas Harbor by just his back, and he's wearing a hat and nothing nondescript, nothing particularly descriptive. I guess you can see Tree Babalade there in the background. My favorite part is just everyone assuming that this is Kevin Plank recruiting for Maryland on behalf of Under Armour. Maybe it was. Maybe this is Occam's razor. What's the most likely scenario when you see the Under Armour dude at a Maryland basketball game with these two high school players? Maybe it is that. Nonetheless, this is my favorite kind of story.
Well, Kevin is wearing a Maryland shirt.
Did he go to Maryland?
There were a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
He's an alum.
as he would if he's at a Maryland basketball game, right?
Yeah. So there were a couple other. No, I mean, I this is one of those things where I think that this is like a last straw for Gamecock fans.
Yeah.
Most people have not been like ask a Gamecock fan what they think of Under Armour, and I think people like wearing the stuff, but most of them are not like, man, I'm so happy that our school is associated with Under Armour because the Nike thing with basketball, et cetera, et cetera. And they see this, you've got kind of the emotional aspect of it because you've got Tree, who's from Maryland, who just decommitted earlier this week. You got Nicholas Harbor, who has been like a Michigan, South Carolina, and Maryland's been in there too. Just took an official visit there this weekend as well. Who's from Washington, D.C., right down the road. And so it's just kind of a thing that I think Gamecock fans are thinking is a bad look, right?
And a fan base is in a pretty fragile state right now. It's been a traumatic offseason, it seems like, for the most part. What do you think when you see something like that, Wes? Does it even register in your brain?
The tweet?
Yeah, just a picture of Tree and Nicholas standing there with Kevin Plank.
I mean,
because you know how these things actually go.
Yeah, I mean, I see why fans would be frustrated. But I think you look. Somebody else on Twitter brought up the point. The guy with Nike, Phil Knight, very much directly supports the Oregon program as well. So if I'm South Carolina, I'm not saying it's everything. Like, I'm not jumping to these huge conclusions, but I'm also not saying, oh, that's nothing either. Like, I'm asking some questions if it's me.
So Tree decommitted. He goes to DeMatha, which is where Marshawn Lloyd went, correct? So
Yes,
there's a
that's right.
relationship there. I guess there was some indication that if Marshawn is going back home, going back to Maryland, that relationship, like, that may be settled. Whether or not he has a conversation with Kevin Plank, he may have been going to Maryland anyway to join back up with Marshawn Lloyd and play for his hometown team. Harbor is, to this point, uncommitted. I don't know if this meeting is the kind of thing to sway him. Is there an update? Like, has Nicholas Harbor said in the last 24 hours, like, Maryland's a front runner now?
No, he hasn't. So let me take those one by one. So let's go with Marshawn. Interestingly, and I'm not taking Maryland out of the equation at all, but interestingly, I heard, I think 5 schools, I think it was 5 or 6 schools a day or two ago that had been involved so far, and Maryland was not one. Now, could they be in the mix? Sure. One of them, interestingly, was Southern Cal, which is, I don't know, to me would be a little weird and different. But
I also would want to play for Lincoln Riley, though.
So there's some others to watch. Michigan State, a few SEC schools. So I don't really know, and perhaps Maryland's in the mix there. But I remember in high school, people were looking at Marshawn Lloyd, who was from Maryland. Maryland hired his high school head coach at the time as a position coach. So everybody's going, oh, he's going to Maryland. And he just never seemed that big on it, So that could change this time around. But I did find it interesting that Maryland didn't immediately come up in the early stages of Marshawn Lloyd. With Tree, I don't think the door is shut for South Carolina. I think we need to see, does he get back on campus maybe this weekend or otherwise sometime before signing day on Wednesday. That's something to watch. We do know Maryland was involved and made it close during the time of his original commitment. Harbor has been mostly a Michigan-South Carolina battle. However, Maryland's been in the mix. He did take his official visit there this past weekend. He was back at the basketball game last night, very close, in proximity. I think they've given themselves a seat at the table, so to speak, with him. But his recruitment is going to drag out probably till February. He's about to go get ready to play in the Under Armour All-American game. He's taken 3 official visits now to those 3 schools I mentioned, and he's looking at probably a couple more in January. So this one is one that'll drag out until probably the late signing day.
We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back around. There was another high-profile decommit for South Carolina over the weekend or earlier in this week. I can't remember which day exactly it was now. Plus, there was a name of the transfer portal that we should discuss as we continue to try to keep track of all the roster movement that has just become the college football offseason. 803-404-6100. And actually, right now, since we're talking about basketball, go ahead and use that number, 803-404-6100, to call us right now and give yourself a chance to win a pair of women's basketball tickets. That game is Sunday. It is not the game tonight against South Dakota State. That'll be on 107.5, the game right after Lamont Paris Coach's Show. But if you want to go see the Gamecocks at home this weekend, Sunday is when that game is. You can be caller number 5 right now at 803-404-6100. Pair of women's basketball tickets for you. And more on the roster churn next.
The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford.
I remember sending off Dave to join the KISS Army when I was in like the 2nd grade. Is that about the same thing?
Similar, very similar, except you can do it online. Kinsiders.
Kinsiders.
They're sisters. They have VIPs, before, and you get to meet them, and they sign your stuff and all that, and you get to hang with them and, talk to everybody in the band.
They shook Dave's hand. He hasn't washed his hands since.
I pull my shirt down, give him a Sharpie. Here, sign my chest.
sign my chest.
All right. See, this is my fault. I usually want to blame other people for things. This is my fault.
Noon to 3 on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right. We'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
803-630-5929 for more details.
Some holiday parties are kinda... But with reimagined catering from Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, your party can be... From munchies and dips to pizza, sandwiches, salads, boxed lunches, party trays, and desserts, our full-service catering menu is sure to create the holiday karma your party deserves. So don't stress out, cater in, and mellow out with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
The Greenville Winter Invitational Men's Basketball Showcase. December 17th at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. The one-day, 6-team event features mashups between the Clemson Tigers, South Carolina Gamecocks, and Furman Paladins. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Guys, get the perfect present at Rejuvenation's Medical Spa this Christmas. Magic Money. Call and ask one of the certified consultants to walk you through the best present under the tree. 781-1201.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000 square foot facility is complete with a massive 2-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Faro and Killian Road, where Price sells cars.
Hey, I'm Carl Blackstone, President and CEO of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. We hope you're enjoying this holiday season. As you continue to make plans to celebrate with family and friends, we want to encourage you to take the time to explore the local businesses in our community and all they have to offer. Our region flourishes when we commit to partnering with our neighbors to build a stronger economy. The Chamber sends our warmest thoughts and best wishes for a wonderful holiday and a very happy new year. And please remember, shop local.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
You're invited to the grand opening of Palmetto Cards and Collectibles. South Carolina's largest hobby shop is now open at 404 West Main Street in Lexington. Family owned by card collectors. Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, baseball, basketball, football, Pokemon, and more. They can handle all your trading card and supply needs. They're always buying collections and would love to buy yours. Palmetto Cards is also a grading submission center for PSA and SGC. Visit PalmettoCards.com or stop by Palmetto Cards and Collectibles, West Main Street in Lexington.
The cleaning pros at Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning want to make sure your carpets stay clean this holiday season. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus. When you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you can get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Don't forget to tune into the Lamont Paris Call-In Show tonight, 6 o'clock, right here on 107.5 The Game. Get Coach's thoughts after the UAB loss last night. Looking ahead to an interesting weekend matchup with ECU up in Greenville. That and a whole lot more. 6 o'clock airtime right here tonight on 107.5 The Game. Couple minutes left here. Tree Babalade decommit. Isaiah Jada also decommitting from South Carolina. Seems like there's been a lot of Auburn interest there for the 3-star JUCO offensive lineman. Also got an offer from Coach Prime in Colorado over the weekend. Is this in the same category as Tree, where maybe he could end up back at South Carolina, or is this a done deal?
I think there is a much lesser chance that he ends up back in the class. South Carolina analyst Lonnie Teasley, who took over for Greg Adkins on-field coaching for a good portion of this season and some of last year too, was pretty big in that recruitment initially for South Carolina. Jada started out as kind of a lower-ranked recruit. South Carolina jumped in pretty early, and he continued getting offers. And the feel, that we've gotten looking back on it now that he's decommitted and it's kind of official now, is that he was always someone that was continuing to communicate with other schools. He continued picking up offers along the way, and he always talked about visiting other schools. It just didn't really come to pass at all times until he did go to Auburn recently. He's supposed to, last I heard, go to Colorado this weekend. I would say Auburn's probably the front runner now, but he does have the Colorado visit. I don't foresee as much of a chance of him jumping back in based on what we have to go on right now.
Lastly, Corey Rucker has put his name in the transfer portal. Not hugely surprising. When the Dow Loggins name surfaced, people were describing what kind of offense he might bring to South Carolina. He tweeted something to the effect of, "That sounds a lot like ... crying emoji."
A+ executed tweet.
Yeah, it was good. He's in the transfer portal now. Wes, is South Carolina going to set the NCAA record for most pass catchers lost in a single offseason?
No, I'm sure they won't. And I think Corey situation here, I don't want to dive into the details, but I don't think necessarily if he knows what he wants to do next. I don't know if this decision was even based on football. I think he's kind of trying to figure out what his next step is.
He does play guitar. Maybe he wants to be in a band.
And he's a photographer.
And
he's a guy that honestly, I talked to him with our Garnet Trust interview. I'm sure it was tough on him going through an injury for the first time in his career, being at a new place. And he's one of those guys that needs to be constantly moving. His brain is constantly firing. And, I think this has just been a tough year for him. So everybody be easy on Corey. I think most of the fans have been, but just everybody be easy on Corey. Also, some news as we were doing the show, Darius Rush officially declaring for the NFL draft. And we have confirmed that he will also skip the bowl game. A guy that really has been dealing with a nagging hamstring injury for much of the season, off and on, and was in a situation where this was not an easy decision, was not a light decision, but after they talked to, from what I was told, talked to scouts, player personnel guys, and just received a lot of feedback. The biggest part of this decision was to he's got to show his speed. Like, that's going to be the difference for him. A guy that's already shown film, length, and a football IQ. Well, the difference in like a millisecond will be the difference in third or fourth round potentially versus late round. And so with the combine being like, I guess, 8 weeks away from the end of the year, wants to get 100% healthy and get ready to go run. So Darius also graduated 2 years ago.
Wow.
But stuck around with the Gamecocks. He's given his 5 years and now will make that jump. So,
congrats to him. You made fun of me, Wes. You just roundly dismissed what I thought was a fair question. Juice Wells, if he leaves, this is what Carolina. This is the list of players that caught up pass for Carolina this year. Juice Wells possibly gone. Jalen Brooks gone. Josh Vann gone. Jaheim Bell gone. Austin Stogner gone. Marshawn Lloyd gone. Nate Atkins gone. Trey Kenyon gone. Corey Rucker gone. Christian Beal-Smith gone. So I'm going to do a fact check before I just roundly dismiss what I think is a fair question. Carolina's lost a lot of pass catching options.
Well, they haven't lost Juice Wells.
Huh? Not yet. Okay. If I take out Juice Wells, are you telling me Jalen Brooks, Josh Vann, Jaheim Bell, Austin Stogner, Marshawn Lloyd, Nate Atkins, Trey Kenyon, Corey Rucker, Christian Beal-Smith is not a long list?
No, I never said that.
Okay. I'm just making sure. We'll be at Firehouse Subs in Orangeburg tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's sports talk station. WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances, and Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer